in 2015, we find ourselves 60 years after a declaration made at the island of Mainau about nuclear war by the laureates of the day back in 1955. The laureates here, and represented in part up on the stage, are going to make a declaration this year, so 60 years after the last one, discussing the threat of climate change.
The fact is, there's just so much data coming in. There is little question that the climate is changing. I tried to push that we talk about global sustainability because I believe that climate change is tightly interwoven with, if we want to make humans have a safe and prosperous environment, we've got to figure out how humans impact on the Earth. You know, I pointed out in my talk, we're in the middle of the 6th great extinction that we know about. That is clearly man-caused. It's habitat, it's climate, it's releasing poisons in the environment. There's a huge number of things that the humans are having impact on the planet, and the climate is one that's very topical right now because we're focusing to make people aware so that they will in turn put some pressure on the political leaders to try and make good progress when they meet together in Paris this winter.
Even on a moderate scenario of warming, we may expect to see the progressive breakdown of civil society across the planet by indeed 2100. The predictions are quite dire. Water, of course, is a major component of it, and the poor of the planet are going to be the most severely impacted, as always. So I think it's a very real issue for all of us, and it's something that we have to drive forward. We run in, especially in Australia, we run into the vested interests of the major fossil fuel industries. That has succeeded in many ways in diverting people's attention. I don't know whether you've read Naomi Oreskes' book, Merchants of Doubt. It's a very good and very detailed analysis of the professional denial and disinformation industry that's around this area. But we must act and we must speak out.
The question, I think, is these are what will happen if we do this, or we do nothing, things of that nature. How we begin to limit our carbon emissions and how we actually get that in the most economical way is the question that policymakers and people of each country have to face.
I think the various things, there's obviously decarbonisation of the atmosphere, atmospheric emissions is absolutely important. But the other thing is that, I mean, the only way we're going to solve this is through political action, through policy, and through innovation, and as Steve said. And that is what drives the capitalist system. That's what we're accustomed to as the major driver of the capitalist system through our lives, is really innovation and massive technological change. And also governments can help by putting in place policies that help drive that innovation, and the financial industries can do the same thing. Financial industries are very important. Their decisions not to fund, for instance, coal projects, tremendously important. But the other thing is to fund energy efficiency work, both in the construction industries, because more and more of our global population is rapidly coming into megacities. So if we have energy efficient cities, and it is possible to make extremely energy efficient cities, we will achieve a great drop in carbon emissions by using less energy. The other is to drive energy transition to renewables, and in that area, for instance, particularly important to get better storage, so battery research and all the rest of it. So there's tremendous economic opportunity here, but what it runs into is the fact that the immensely powerful and wealthy fossil fuel industries, the big old dirty industries, are blocking innovation. And what we need is governments to say, no, we're not going to accept that. We're going to push innovation.
And here you have role models to act on those scientific conclusions and to try to do something about it. So these are an incredible bunch of hundreds of very talented young scientists who probably can make a lot more difference in the long run than a few of us. But we, in some extent, serve as role models for them. That's the whole purpose of this meeting, to inspire and educate.
We are inspiring the young people here, but we're also making it so that educators will think about having courses in environmental impact and climate. And you're starting to see that up here a little bit, but the fact that we're up here saying it's a serious issue and should be studied, should be dealt with, but it should also be studied. It is a serious scientific issue. That helps people do teaching in school. But, there's another partner we have in this, which is the press. It's important for the press to be educating the general public. Our goal is to be educating the general public, and we're not alone in this. Many things are leading up to this. You had the Pope coming out, right? You have other leaders making statements. We're part of the drumbeat leading up to try and convince the world leaders to make more progress this fall. But we're very much counting on the press to carry the message out to the general public that it is really something they have a strong stake in.
My goal here is to ensure that the leaders, not just Australia, but the leaders of the world, realize they do have a responsibility, that it is not just votes. That is, by leaders, they are there to do more than just get elected. They are there to lead, and I will do my best, and I won't expect 100% success, but I actually have more faith in them, having met a lot of them up close and personal. Most of them got into the job to do a good job, and it's good to remind them what that means.